Yeah.
Some families even pull all their funds together. All the last money they have is what they use to send that child to school, with the hopes that the child will be able to then support the family
and the family.
So there's even that investment on their side, but then there's also that weight of the expectation that you would then be the one to basically fend for your family. What advice would you give young immigrants that are supporting their families back home?
Wow. And so my parents are really this girl, what should do? After I came to Canada, they were not telling me that their plan was that. They were just let this girl go. And last, if they send her back at the door, come back and carry our daughter and bring her home. So if you keep opening, you keep having hard checks, and then that will be affecting. Wealth building is not get rich scam.
I'm preaching, honestly.
This is Young and Abroad. Let's go.
Hi, my darlings. Welcome back to another exciting, amazing episode of Young and Abroad. This is our very first episode of the season, okay? We had about 8 amazing episodes last season. So if you have not seen them yet, make sure you go catch up, check them out. I am your host, your beautiful host, Eniola, and I have a beautiful, stunning guest here with me. I'm going to introduce her in a bit. Yeah, so today we're just going to be talking about how to get your money up in 2025. Like this year, we're investing, we're having good financial management, and my guest here is very, very savvy in finance and knows all the tips and tricks she's going to be sharing with us today. So make sure you stick around if you want to, be in your bag in this year, stick around. So yeah, today I have with me Rimi. Rimi, such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So she is a finance content creator, I would say. She creates a lot of content around investment, how to handle your money, how to handle taxes, with mostly a focus on the Canadian market. But I would say a lot of things that she speaks on is very much transferable, to be honest. I've been following you for quite some time now. We've definitely met in person. But yeah, this is our first sit down. So I'm very excited for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm excited too. Excited to talk. I like to talk about finances. And I get very passionate. I find when people meet me, I'm like, oh, hi, hello. But when they start asking me about money and finances,
girl, the energy comes. Love it.
Yeah.
Before we get started, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Join this amazing growing family. We have so many exciting episodes coming up this season, and I don't want to spill too much. Subscribe so you see and find out. Okay, so let's get started. I guess my first question for you is, what led you to moving to Canada? What was your relocation, immigration story?
So it's interesting. When people ask me, I didn't plan on moving to Canada. Me coming to Canada wasn't I'm trying to leave Nigeria type of thing.
Okay.
What happened was I wanted to do my master's program. So for me, after my undergrad and NYS, I was I want to further my education. And then also I studied economics. So I was trying to figure out kind of what path I wanted to take, whether I wanted to do. Because if you're in Nigeria, I was doing ICANN. I actually got to the final stage of ICANN.
Okay, nice.
I think I had just one paper, but I was I'm out. For real, I had one or two papers.
Why? The final paper?
Yeah, because my Canadian everything already worked out. I had to travel.
Okay,
and I was I'm going. My mommy was really oh, she's going to come back and do it. Come back quick. I don't know I can do anything. Because I studied economics, I was trying to find that path, and then I stumbled upon data analytics, and so I was looking for a program in that. So the US versus Canada, that type of thing. And so Canada was I applied to the US, so I had good opportunities there, scholarship. But I don't know why I wanted to come to Canada because the school in Canada just felt a better fit for me. And I only applied to one. I only applied to actually one school in Canada.
You got it.
And I got it. So that's how I got to Canada. Then me staying was not after oh wow, Nigeria is not a nice place again.
Things have been
things are already
rough.
Yeah. For real. And then my mom was coming back where? Where are you coming back to?
Are you serious?
We stood down. So that's how I ended up staying, obviously, after I finished school.
Thank you for giving us that brief background. And I guess maybe you can also tell us a bit about yourself. I should have probably started with that story, but just a bit about yourself.
Yeah. So my name is Rimi. My full name is Rimi. So for work, I'm a data analyst. I work in the tech space, and on the side I'm a personal finance content creator. And what made me to really start this was just because I felt like a lot of people, young people, they didn't really know a lot about their money, about financial literacy. And so I started really as a blog. My goal was to just start as a blog.
Really?
But like my best friend was like, "I'll no tanto." She was like that. Nobody's going to read your blog. Said, me, I'm not reading your blog.
Are you serious?
She's like that. I will suppose if you send it to me, I'll be like, oh, let's read this. But like in this day and age, like it just makes sense to do like the more video stuff.
Content. Yeah.
So that's why I started like the bite-sized stuff on TikTok and Instagram, and I mix it with my blog. I still write my blog too, but yeah, that's it.
And I feel like your TikTok is doing really well. I follow you on TikTok too, and I'm just like, I love it. Like I feel like you've hacked the TikTok.
I feel like me, I think I have hacked it.
Hey, because you always give us back to back. Me, I'm just always trying to just scramble or scrap my Instagram content, chuck it inside, just repurpose it. The way you kind of use storytelling to talk about finance, so it's not just 5 steps to wealth. Like her content is very engaging.
Thank you. I appreciate that because funny enough, I just put a video how I felt like I was struggling. Like I feel like I've been very consistent. I know how to sometimes like block the numbers or values. Like I know how to block that. Just like at the end of the day, what am I doing? What am I doing this? But sometimes I'm just like, why is this number not like I'm posting? I can do it differently, but so that's why I try to mix different things because at the end of the day, finance is not an interesting topic. It's not interesting topic. Yeah, it can get boring. So it's always trying different things to make it interesting and relatable with people.
I love it. Okay, so can you like just walk us through what your experience was like, with finance as a newcomer in Canada? Yeah. Because things are very different. Like the financial system is much different from Nigeria. So like, did you have any challenges understanding how things work? Like even from opening a bank account? Yeah. How did you navigate that?
Yeah. So I say I've been quite interested in personal finance right before I left Nigeria. So I used to watch like Graham Stefan. Those are like kind of some of the OGs in YouTube. So I kind of understood the Canadian system before I came because I understood like credits, I understood that type of thing before coming here. So the only major research I needed to do was now, okay, what bank do I want to go with? So I know like when I was searching, I was like, oh, student banks. I was like, oh, I want Scotia Bank. Because I wanted to watch movies because they gave sim points because I love movies. That's the only deciding factor for me for Scotiabank. I think the only not struggle, but like kind of the only challenge was like I took student loans. So it was just like navigating that student loan process when I got to Canada and like figuring out how I want to pay it and things like that. But understanding the system, I would say was fairly, fairly easy. Like I watched a lot of YouTube videos, I read books, I read things like that. For me to understand it.
That's really good. Honestly, like the fact that you came prepared and came armed with knowledge. You mentioned student loans. How did you, I guess, manage that? Did you work while you were in school? How did you?
Yeah. So student loans, obviously, my school was expensive. I don't know something to go to my expensive school, but I went to super expensive school. So my tuition at that time was about like 60K more or more when I came to school, and so obviously I knew that my parents could not spend all that money on my head because I have siblings. So with the student loans, like when I came, it was the Empower financing. I just had to communicate with them and like let them know, and you had to take it in USD. So I had to take the student loan in USD.
And was this before you moved? Were you able to sort it out before you moved, or is something you have to do when you?
Okay. So that was the only funny part because my dad did not believe me when I told him that. He's like, you in Nigeria, you applied and they gave you like how? So I applied. I found like the platform Empower Financing. I applied for it. They gave it to me. And
was the process difficult or it was quick?
It was not difficult. It probably took like 2 weeks. Like I submitted all of my documents and whatnot on the portal, and they probably took like 2 weeks, and they said I was approved. Wow. And so my parents were like really like, this girl, what should do? Because literally after I came to Canada, they were not telling me that their plan was like that. They were just like, let this girl go. And last, if they send her back at the door, come back and tell me our daughter. I'll bring her home. And I'm just like, what shall be? Where is he going? Let's see what's going to happen. So I kind of sorted everything out back in Nigeria, and when I got to Canada, I just communicated with them that okay, they should send it to my school and whatnot.
Oh, so they just send it directly to the school?
Yeah, they didn't give me the money cash. They sent it directly. Yeah, they didn't give me money cash.
Fair enough.
I sent money to my school, and yeah, from there I just was now focusing on paying it back. Really, that was the next thing.
So then when you moved, did you have any specific financial goals? I'm guessing one would have been to, pay off your student loans.
Yeah.
And then thank you so much for sharing that. Like if anyone is out there and looking to move for school and you don't have all the funds, this is an amazing option because like she was able to apply for it in Nigeria and get it. So look into it, honestly. But yeah, I'm wondering like if you had any specific financial goals, what that looked like for you. This wasn't that, oh, within 1 year, I want to buy a house or I want to become a millionaire in dollars within 2 years.
I think for me, the interim goal when I came to Canada was like pay off your student loans like as soon as possible. Because my student loans were also, the interest rate was super high. I was about 15% or so at that time. So now is God knows how much it is now. I wasn't thinking too much about buying a house or that type of thing. Because that also like when I was coming to Canada, it was not like I thought I was going to stay. So it was mostly like student loans and then save money, that type of thing. Definitely invest. I think another goal for me was investing. So start to invest in the stock market because I knew that I had access to like the US stock market here versus back at that time.
So did you actually start investing from your first year in Canada?
Yes, even my student loans.
Wow. Are you serious?
So when in 2020, because I don't know whether I mentioned. So part of how I was able to also pay up my student was like thankfully, after my first term, I got a job that I was working part time. Really? Did I get a job? Yeah, I got an internship because we had to do internship in the second semester for my school.
Same.
Yeah. So from there, I was
final one.
Okay. Then after I now had to I was able to now convert it to part time. So kind of, I'll say, from when I started earning money, I started saving. So I put some money. So I think in 2020, I opened my Quest Trade account. That was the first account because nothing World was there yet. Was not yet there. So I opened and for Quest Trade, you have to be able to start investing once you deposit 1,000. So I saved money to deposit the 1,000. And so I just like tried my hand at different things then. And at the same time, I was still saving for like my student loan and just other things. But I just wanted to like test the waters and see what was happening in that landscape.
I'm trying to think, did I start investing from the first year? So I was already investing back home. So I had money, mutual funds, things like that.
Yeah.
But then here, I just like I was doing a lot of research doing my master's. So when I moved, I started to look into like what is TFSA, what are all these things. So I was very much interested in investing, but I don't think I actually took this step until maybe like after my master's. So yeah, that's really good, honestly.
Yeah, I also had mutual funds in Nigeria too before I came here and said it.
And took everything out.
Yeah, I took everything out because
Naira.
Yeah.
So another major thing that I feel like kind of confuses people a bit, especially people that are new to Canada, is credits.
Yeah.
How people are always saying, oh, you need to like borrow money, as much money as you can when you come, build your credits. Like, so did you have any like issues understanding or navigating that? And can you just give us like a bit of an understanding of how to build credits?
Yeah.
Do you just borrow $10,000 from the bank and hold it for 1 year? How long do you have to how long would you typically have the money for?
Yeah. So I'll say like credit is definitely one of the things that people misuse, especially when they come to Canada. So I know like when I got here, I heard a lot of people open like credit cards with all of the banks. And so like I know they used to give us like 1,000 to 2,000. So they have like 1,000 and they won't pay you back. Like for real.
Are you serious?
They won't pay you back thinking that, they were like benefiting themselves. But down the line, obviously they're all going to collection. So I'll say when it comes to credit, like ensure that, remember that it's not your money. That's the first thing. It's not your money. Honestly. You need to pay back every single time. So some people also say just pay the minimum. No, we're not saying pay the $10 minimum. No. Whatever amounts that you have used out of your credit card, you should definitely pay it at the end of in full at the end of every month. And another thing is also like over utilization. So a lot of people, they'll have 1,000 and they'll use the exact 1,000. No, you should only be using about 30% of this. At the least, even if you, so at the least, you should only be using 30%, but at the least, even if you use the 1,000 so there's also two dates that people confuse. There's the statement date and the due date. So before your statement dates, ensure that whatever is remaining on your balance is less than that 30%. So for instance, I can understand
Okay.
that maybe you had to buy a TV or just something that was pricey and your limit was 1,000. So maybe you spent
You
like
just
eight,
spent all of it.
all of it.
yeah.
And that's fine. But like make sure that you pull back like around 600 back so that the balance on it is just $300 by your statement date. So that's important. And then by your due date, pay off
Pay
the
everything
thing off. Yeah.
Mm.
So that's something that people confuse. I'm not saying that don't use your credit. If it's 10K, it's like use up 10K, that's fine. But by your statement dates, just ensure that it is less than 30% that is showing on your balance. That's it. And use it regularly. So because people are also scared of credit. So there are two types of people. People that will just come and just be using 10 mil.
Yes.
And people that they're actually scared. They're like, oh my God, it's not my money. So I don't use my debit card. I hardly use it. Everything is my credit.
Yeah.
And because you also need to show that you're using it regularly. So all of those things, if you hack that, you actually be able to increase your credit score, like gradually, pay back on time, don't use more than 30% and use it regularly. And then your credit score will increase. Yeah.
That's really good. And I wanted to ask, is there anything that can hurt a person's credit score?
Yeah, so obviously there are different things that affect your credit score, like credit checks, so hard checks specifically. Like for instance, when you get your credit card, they will do a check on you. So it may drop your scores by a bit, but still come back. It will still come back up. Sometimes now, even like some of the phone bills, like when you want to get a new contract or whatnot or plan, they will ask you to do a credit
check. Okay.
And you can actually say no. I know I was trying to negotiate for my house like internet, and the guy said, I'm like, I don't want a credit. I don't want to have credit. I'm saving my credit score for something. Y'all need to find another way. So
knowledge is power. I say, okay, no problem.
Yeah, because I'm like that. If people can find another way, like that's different from like if I'm renting a place. Because I know if I'm renting a place, they'll need to do a credit check. But like when it's like phone plan, what's the phone plan? How much is the money? How much is the money? So I was like, I know. Find another way to verify me. I'm not using a credit.
That's really and they agree to it.
Yeah, they agree to it.
Love it.
So just ensure that when people say they want to do a check on you, just be sure that it's not a hard check or a soft check. Like if you're fine with doing a hard check at that point in time, that's fine. But like maybe you're saving your credit score to do something. Like maybe you want to open a credit card in the next year and just like wait, you actually don't use it.
Don't
just allow them. Exactly. So don't
do jobs ask for checks? Like if you get a new
job, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yes. Yeah. So that's something you have to be very, very, very wary of, because some people, they just come open one credit account today. Next 2 months, they open another credit card. So if you keep opening, you keep having hard checks. And then that will be affecting.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Opening multiple credit cards also
affects it. That will be affecting your credit score.
You guys are listening.
You have to actually plan all these things and make it make sense for you. So before you just say, oh, this is an interesting credit card, let me go get it. Like think about it. Do I want this credit card? Or do I not want it?
And I was about to say, like, this credit card companies, they're always trying to give you open your mailbox, you see free credit cards. You open your email, you see, oh, we have an offer at this one bank.
Does it give you offers?
I don't want credit.
They'll always give you offers.
They're always giving you offers.
Yes, there's a lot of people that will default on their credit, but there's also a lot of people that will pay back their credits. And people that pay back their credits, they are paying back interest rates. And those interest rates are crazy. Credit cards have one of the highest interest rates, about like 19 to 20 to 21%. Wow. So if you actually have a credit card debt, when you're paying it back, is a lot of money that you have to pay back, especially if you don't even pay it on time. So you have to be very, very cognizant of all of that and careful, because you just put yourself inside trouble. Yeah.
Can you just use numbers to explain that 30%
utilization or whatnot? Yeah. So for instance, if you have a $1,000 credit limit, and then in that month you spent $800 on it, by your statement dates, ensure that the amount that is left is $300. So $300 is 30% of 1,000. So that means by your statement dates, that's the date that they're sending your details to the credit bureau. So Equifax, TransUnion. So that means if you have only $300 on that balance, by the time your details is sent to the credit bureau, you're in a good spot. I always recommend like reduce is maybe $200. You don't need to put the exact 30%. So do like $200. So by that statement due date, that means if you have a 800 usage, you have to pay back 600 or 500 by that statement due date and remain only $200 or $300. And then by your due date, which is if I think 12 or 15 days after your statement due date, then you have to pay everything up to zero balance.
Yeah.
Or $0, basically.
That's very helpful. I hope you guys understand. But drop any questions that you might have in the comment section, and hopefully I can beg to help us
answer. No worries.
But yeah, thank you.
I think you also asked about What did you ask? Something about
Yeah, like what would they affect if your credit card score is
scores
low?
low. Okay, yes. When you want to rent a new place, they always check your credit. So, for instance, if your credit is low, sometimes they want to approve
Some
you
landlords won't give
of
you.
certain houses, or and this is just rents. This is not even talking of buying a
God.
house. So you have to definitely have a good enough credit score for you to have like be able to get a house that you want to sleep in, and
As
then and then even for even credit cards. So, for instance, like if you want to open like maybe an Amex Platinum. If your credit score is not good, they will not
They won't
approve.
consider
They
you.
won't consider. So things like that, it just comes into place. And the reason for a credit card really is to just ensure that you're a trustworthy person. That's really the purpose of having a credit card. So they're just able to say, okay, this person, if you give them this person this money, they'll pay it back on time. Or for instance, rent. If you give the person this house, they'll pay your rent on time. They will not stress you. Things like that.
True.
Yeah. And then also it now leads to the big things of like mortgages and like getting the house. If you want to buy a house, if you have a good enough credit score to get a good mortgage rate and like the house you want. Because obviously the lower your credit score, that might also affect the type of rate. Like you may be a higher risk person and they may give you like higher rates type of thing.
So guys, please start building your credits this year. It's so important. So I actually wanted to ask about like for newcomers trying to build their credits, like what would be the first thing they should do? I guess go and apply for a credit card, I guess.
Yes.
That's like
so yeah, you got it. So
then to apply, is there anything they would need as a newcomer?
No, as a newcomer. So thankfully, a lot of the big banks have plans for newcomers. So they have plans for students, plan for people that are also like newly immigrating to Canada. So with that, obviously the requirements is little because they know that you do not have
any
an existing credit profile. So I think that's the first thing. Just look for a plan that you like. Like look for, and most of them have like nice add-ons, maybe cashback, maybe for instance like Scotiabank, SIM points. Me, I like movies. I was like, give me the SIM points.
Honestly, and the SIM points have actually come close. I remember then. True. I was thinking back.
I watched so many free movies because also for me, like I came during COVID. I schooled during COVID.
Okay.
So
was that was 2020?
Yeah, 2020.
Okay.
So like during that like May to like September 2020 when we were like on lockdown, I couldn't obviously go to the movies, but I was earning my SIM points. So when we finished lockdown,
like 30,000.
The points that I had, I was just going to this to Cineplex anyhow. But yeah, choose.
Yeah, I can relate.
Do you like? Oh, you like?
Yeah, I love movies too. But then I've not gone in a minute. But then I now found out. So I literally went to this grocery store.
Yeah.
And I was about to pay, and they're like, "Oh, do you have a SIM card?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And then I give them, and she's like, "Wow, you have a lot of points. That do you know, like you can get groceries with." I said, "What?"
You can also get groceries with it.
So I kind of just held that information and just kept it with me, like kept the points. And there was a period where I needed like some support financially, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I have this." So I actually had free groceries for like a few months. Honestly, I had free groceries for a few months with the same points. So, hey, special back, reach out for promotion. It's free for promotion.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be Scotiabank. It can be any other bank. After you have your credit card, now start using it. Because I think you have like a base credit score that they'll give you. Like obviously, because you do not have a credit.
So it won't be a low score to start with.
It's not a low. It's not always low. It's like
I think
middle.
Right,
is middle. I don't know. I can't remember the score that I had first of all, but it's not like a low. You're not starting from the bottom. Unless you now get the credit card and now start defaulting on it. Then your points just nosedive. Exactly. That's the word. Nosedive. So once you have it, use it regularly and pay every single time. Pay every single month. And you'll be fine.
Really good.
Yeah.
And even with like the options, because I remember when I first moved, I actually went to a bank and sat down with a financial advisor, and they literally now walked me through the different plans and actually recommended which one to use. I think that's what you said. I think it was a student card that I started with. So if you don't even know where to look from, just look for a bank, look for a branch near you, and I think you can book online an appointment with a financial advisor.
You can.
And literally it's free. So for someone that is an immigrant and wants to build wealth in a foreign country, like where would you advise them to start from? Because it can feel a bit intimidating. You're not even in your home country. You're trying to build this thing to a great extent. Like everybody wants to build, I guess, generational wealth.
Yeah.
I'm assuming we all want to use generational wealth. What I guess kind of savings account or investment account would you advise them to start with?
Yeah.
Just kind of high level. I know that's a loaded question.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll say the first thing is that you actually need to set a goal. I think that a lot of people don't even ever envision that they can hit a $1 million net worth. And if you don't even envision, how are you going to hit it? So I think the first thing is to really be like, okay, I want to hit a million or whatever amount, 100K. First of all, let's start. I want to hit 100K invested. From there, like, okay, how do I then hit 100K? So now you're going to look at your income, like how much can you save how much is coming in and how much can you save from there, and make a plan. So you say, okay, year on year, how much can I actually save based on my income and expenses, and then actually start putting that money away. And so when I say start putting that money away, I'm not saying just saving it in your bank, because your bank, inflation happens, your money is going to reduce. But really, after you have your emergency fund, I don't want to go too much, but really, after you have your emergency fund, you should be putting all the remaining money in investments. So I'm talking stocks, investing in the stock market. That is like one of the easiest way, and I won't say fastest, because that's the thing about investing in stock market. It is a time thing. Like you build wealth from the stock market based on time, over time. It's not something that just give you 1 million in 1 year. It doesn't work like that. And that's another thing I have to say. Wealth building is not get rich scam. It's a slow and steady process. Like I think we need to get comfortable with the fact that, okay, my money is going to grow, but it will not give me, like, it's going to go slowly and I'm going to get there. I don't need to rush.
You are preaching, honestly, because especially with the pressure of social media.
Yeah.
You see some 23-year-old with some fancy fast car doing luxury bags and luxury things, and you start to be like, is there something I'm doing wrong?
But also I have to say something. People that have luxury cars and luxury bags on the internet, they're dealing with credit card debts. Like, it's not everybody that has the money.
Girl.
Like, generally, like, a lot of people actually have credit card debts that they're dealing because they have the fancy cars. It's $0 in their account. And that's not what you want to be. You want to be the person that has 100K, 150K invested with your, what's it, bag? With your coach. I don't even know where that coach is. And that's my point. Like, you want to be
my only how to look.
That's what I said. Like, if you have 150K, you're carrying your coach bag, you're good.
I feel like some people just don't have the understanding that the fact that you can pay for a Gucci bag does not mean you can afford a Gucci bag.
Yeah.
It's two different things.
Yeah.
The fact that you have the money in your bank account does not mean you can afford it.
Yeah.
So just calm down. If you need to take a break from social media, take that break. I feel like our parents had that advantage because there was no social media to see. Oh, this is what Lagbaja.
No.
That's so Nigerian.
But this is what this person has.
Exactly. So another person has, and see where I am at my big age. So yeah, honestly, thank you so much for saying that. Just curious if you can just tell us a bit about what percentage of one's income should go into an emergency fund.
So I won't say like percentage for income, but your emergency fund should be 6 months to 12 months of your living expenses. Let me give an example. Your monthly expenses is about 3,000, but your actual like living expenses, things that you cannot do without. So for instance, rent, food, maybe you have a car, you want to transportation, your gas type of thing. All of that now adds up to 2,000. So that means that's your living expenses that you cannot do without every single month times 6. So times 6 months, that's about 12K. So that's if you want to keep 6 months of your living expenses. So that means you need to save $12,000 for your emergency fund and hold it. So some people are more like, they would rather keep up to like 1 year. I think that's too much of cash to hold rather than me investing. But like, it also depends, as I said, personal finance is personal. So it also depends on what works for you. Yeah. If I feel like my risk level is like, I'll be more comfortable with 20K, 25K in my emergency fund, that's fine. But what I just recommend is 6 months to 12 months, and then keep that money in a high interest savings account. Unemployment is hard. People are not getting jobs in 3 months, 4 months. So I think a decent amount is 6 to 12 months. And as I mentioned, keep it in your high interest savings account, not your bank savings account.
That's important.
They're not giving
that
you
is important.
the interest rate that you deserve. So keep that in a high interest savings account and just leave it. Forget it. Like, don't use it. That should not be the place that, oh, if you want to buy a bag, you can take money for. No, that's not what your emergency fund is. If you want to buy your Gucci bag, have another savings account for your Gucci, not your emergency fund. Because that's something I find out that people, when they have, say that 12K or 10K, they don't be using it to buy things.
Chipping at it.
Yeah. And it's like, it's there for emergencies. When you now have emergencies, they're like, here, I don't know. Half of it is gone. So definitely hold it and forget it until like an emergency arises. And that is, don't be scared to use it when emergencies arise. That's not the time you now be borrowing money when you have emergency fund. Use the money. That's why it is an emergency fund. Yeah, but ensure you have that and then go ham on your investing.
Thank you so much. Honestly, that was so insightful. So, what advice would you give young immigrants that are supporting their families back home? Because I've found, based off of conversation with people, sometimes people are literally sent to foreign countries to study and then start working and then, make money with the expectation that they would support their family back home.
Yeah.
Some families even pull all their funds together and literally all the last money they have is what they use to send that child to school with the hopes that the child will be able to then, support the family
and the family.
So there's even that investment on their side, but then there's also that weight of the expectation that you would then be the one to basically
take your
fend for your family
and take them out of the hood.
Exactly, take them out of the hood, and it's a lot of pressure for a person to have, to be honest. So I'm just wondering, what advice would you give someone that's in that position?
Yeah. So funny enough, I'm actually dropping a video on that very soon because someone was also sending me a message asking because this is a real struggle that a lot of immigrants achieve. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Day to day, most of us are sending some form of money back home in form of black tax. Obviously, there's also different levels of black tax.
True.
So
I think the one I said was the extreme.
That's the extreme where the entire community has put out funds for you to come here. That's tough because at the end of the day, you actually have to perform. But you can't say you're not going to perform. You actually need to send the money. But in that case, I think what you have to do is that you have to really sit down and plan yourself and realize that it's a season, as long as you make it a season for yourself. And in that case, what I mean is that you have to think about long-term solutions to the short-term problems. So for instance, in a case where maybe you're the only child that is abroad or something like that, sponsor your siblings or if you have siblings or people that to go to school so that they also start earning income. And so in that case, it's not only left to you alone. That's one thing. So that's why I say think about long-term solutions to the problem, because you don't want it to be that for the rest of your life you're playing
You're the
one that everybody's relying on. So that's why I say think about long-term solutions or think about how to uplift the people back home to start earning income so that's everything is not left to you. So and also in that type of case, I'm talking about the extreme case also, you also need to now, still in the same vein, be mindful of yourself and your goals. Because you don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck because you're fending for your families. And that's why it's very important that you prioritize, think about how to solve the problem. If it's even like creating a retirement fund for your family, your parents, maybe you have aging parents that are going to retire soon. Create a retirement fund, invest. At the end of the day, investments average S&P 500 will give you 10%. Invest in a retirement
fund for your parents.
Yeah, you can't create it. It may not be under any of the TFSA, FSSA, whatever. Okay. It can be like maybe back home that you're creating the retirement fund. And if possible, it may make sense for you to create it here. Obviously, you may have to put it under maybe your name, maybe a TFSA or something. But it would be nice if it's something that they can access. So I would say think about maybe back home in your country, if there's like dollar funded something that you create, retirement funds. Yeah, you have to research into that, but like that's a way that you know that it's not forever that you'll be taking care of them.
So this might sound like a silly question, but the money will be growing, right?
Yeah, the money will be growing. I'm not saying cash. So do it, put it in like some form of investments back home that'll be growing. Or it can even be medical insurance. Investing into medical insurance, because at the end of the day, when you have aging parents, there's likelihood of sickness, things like that. So think about the long-term solutions. And another thing is ensure that you don't enable. I find that family members, a lot of times we enable them. This person wants this, I can't afford. Let me pay for it. Don't be an enabler. You need to focus on what is a need versus frivolities or wants. So focus on things that are like, do they need this? they need rent.
What can wait?
What can wait? Yeah. And I find especially younger siblings, it's very easy to enable them. Since I want this family, it's very easy to enable them, but you have to focus on the needs things, and then
Prioritize your own.
Prioritize your-
like actually have savings goals.
yeah,
for
you have
yourself.
saving goals. Yeah. So when you now, so this is more for the extreme. When it now comes to the non too extreme, where you're just like you have to have hard conversations. So what I'm saying for the extreme, you can't have hard conversations because
Because they've invested.
they've invested in you. The reason you are in this country is because they set you. So for that one, I don't know what type of hard conversations you're having. For instance, like my friends are not entitled, so anything I'm going to send to them. Like they don't ask me, they don't stress
They
me,
don't
and I'm on the good end. Some
Yeah.
people, their parents are entitled to their money, and so it becomes more of a struggle thing. Like, okay, what do you know? Do you know what I'm going to come? They are telling me this. Do you
Yeah.
understand? So you want black tax and whatnot to end in your generation. You don't want it to be that when you're old, you're asking your children for money. So it's something that you have to really be very deliberate about trying to stop in this generation, because the reality is that even your parents probably also dealt with this black tax thing and are probably even still dealing with it, taking care of family members. But you don't want it to be your story. So you really have to be deliberate about how you solve the problem, and then
while also just still maintaining the relationship.
yeah,
right?
one thing you
And then when you even said that, like, cause not even just parents, sometimes it can come from different places.
It can come from different places.
So just like Rimi said, don't go above what you can afford to give.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it might be hard. And it
will be hard.
I feel like I've struggled with saying no, not even in this aspect. Like, thankfully, I've not had to go through black tax. Because, like, my family is very, like, good with that. I've also struggled with saying no. Even if it's, can you help me do this thing? Like, it's tight, it's tough, but I'll still try everything I can to do it before I say damn no. And it's something I've had to unlearn, and I'll say I'm still unlearning, being able to just set those boundaries and say not right now. Like, even if you can't just say a hard no, not right now. Fortunately, like, I will let you know when I can.
To just even add, like, when it even comes to extended family, I think it's even easier to cut them off, because that one, especially people that did not. There are some people that they don't contribute to your life. There are some aunties and like uncles that you know that these ones are like my fat, like they took care of me. That's different. But like uncles and aunties that is like, I don't even know who you are. From there, like that one, I will say like that's something that I tried. Like, thankfully, my parents have also like they've not opened me up. I don't know how to explain that. Is in your right. They're not giving people access to you. That's the one.
That's such a good one.
But some people, their parents have already given them access to them, and then in that case, have a budget every month. Like, the budget for this month, please come back next month. The budget has ended. And I'm talking about people that obviously they don't really hold any sense, like too much of a sentimental value to you. And that's what I'm talking about. Those people, it's easier to say, I'm sorry, I have a budget. The money has ended for this month. Maybe if you come earlier next month, you see something. But I think that you have to have a budget for that one specific and be like, okay, this is what I can afford. This is what I'm not going past this amount, period, until next month.
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel like someone will find that like encouraging, and let us know, listeners, like and viewers, like, have you ever dealt with black tax? Like, how do you manage it? Have you ever had any experience like this? So this next question is for those that want to become homeowners in the future, in the near future. So for, I guess, immigrants that want to buy their first home, what advice would you give them?
Okay. I think the first thing is like, what are you buying a home for? Like, I'm not saying that, like, you need to understand your why. So, because I hear people that they want to buy a house because they think, generational wealth. You buying a house to live in is different from you buying an investment property.
Exactly.
So that's different. So if you're just like in the hype of I want to buy a house, I was one of that. I was like, before I'm 25, I want to buy a house. After I was like, no. Not am I buying the house?
It might also be a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing,
like Nigerians, because even back home, like, I want to buy land. It's like,
but like somewhere in Canada specifically, a lot of people are house poor. They just have the house, but they can never afford the house. So it's like, especially in Canada, that type of thing, I think like you need to ask yourself why. So I can understand like sentimental reasons, and I don't bash sentimental reasons. Like, maybe you have a growing family, you have children already, you're tired of staying in a condo. That makes sense as long as you can also afford it. It's not that, because you don't also want to be part of the statistics that you buy the house and they'll come and take the house from you as long as you can afford it, that makes sense. Like you have a growing family, buy a house, you want to live in it, that's fine. But I just want you to know that it's not like an investment property, and that's not creating wealth for you, because a lot of money goes into maintaining a house, and a lot of times when you do the math, there's no actual like major gain.
Value.
Especially there's no major value, especially because you're living in there. There's a different case if you now house hack and maybe you rent the basement, things like that. That will make sense. But on the other side, there's now the investment property. When you're buying a house to rent it, I think is a very, very good option to do, because house will always increase in value. But just ensure that it makes sense for you. Now, mortgage rates were super high in the last few. Thankfully, they're going down now. But like now, if
people lost
their homes, a lot of people struggled.
This in 2024, right?
Yeah, in 2023, 2024, a lot of people struggled because the interest rates, especially people that did like variable, they were 6-8%.
Yeah,
that is scary.
Yeah.
Imagine your monthly mortgage was like 1-2. Now you're paying like 4K, 5K. How do you survive that? Like, and your income is not increasing. So that's why I say, run the numbers, ensure it makes sense for your finances, and then also look at your options, and also think about, don't just think about the down payments. For instance, like think about, I feel like, because I've been thinking about investment, but I don't know whether I'm this, but because it's too much money. But my point is, like, if I was to buy a property, I will plan to save for the down payments and like maybe like 5 months of like mortgage. Because what if I don't get the renter for the first, like you just have to think, because you don't want to be running helter skelter for money. So that's why I always say, like, and also know the type of person you are. Some people are not meant to be landlords. Some people don't know, unless you're going to employ somebody to do it for you. Some people don't know how to be landlords, and they hate it. So
I'm curious to know why you said that. Like,
no, because when you become a landlord, or even if it's an investment property, hope you know that if the water anything should do, they'll call you. You're at work, you're trying to solve more problem. They're calling you that the water. It may get annoying. So that's my point. It's like, you need to know yourself. If you know that things like that will affect you, just get somebody that will maintain it. But you know that you also need to pay the property managers. Do you understand? So you have to think about all of these things, because if anything the staff should say you do, even if it's their fault, it's you they'll call. And so you really need to be, and I know that.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, because I said I know somebody that I know someone that she literally sold her house because she was like, I'm not made to be a landlord. I can't do this stress. So it's like, no, all of this. Ask yourself these questions and then make the decision for yourself.
100%. Honestly, I totally agree. Like, because another thing that just came to my mind is, you might also get a great tenant. You might get a tenant that is not paying rent. So you find a tenant, you put them in there, and they're just living in your house. And I know that, especially in Canada here, the government favors the renter. Like, they are more safe. You can't just tell someone, oh, you're not paying rent, you have to leave. Like, you can't just kick
that part.
You can't just kick your tenant out. So many times you see people staying for several months and they're not paying rent. Even back home, some people do it, except when it's cases where like some landlords don't even care about the law. They just call. Some boys do. But in Canada, you cannot do that. You cannot call boys to chase your tenant away. So you have to think about all those things. And then also the option of, so there's fixed interest rates, where your rate is fixed from when you enter into the agreement. So whatever is going on in the market, inflation, whatever, is now affecting how much you're going to be paying. So I feel like that's something you should definitely discuss with your bank and
your mortgage. Like, just be sure that you have all the answers to your questions. Like, you're not left like, oh my God. Because for instance, as you mentioned, that thing has happened to a lot of people. They'll be thinking their renters will be able to, like, the rental income will pay the mortgage. The renter will now decide not to leave for 7 months. And the person will not be paying rent, because the court case is like 1-2 years. So that's just the answer at that point, especially if you cannot afford it. So you have to think about all of the cons versus like pros. Like,
honestly, because that has been something that I know has always just been trending, like, buying your first home, especially when you're living abroad, just having that, like,
it's very sweet to say, I got the key.
Show them. It comes with a lot, like Rimi said. So think about it long and hard before you make that decision. I feel like, well, I don't know. Well, right now, I feel like I'll probably want to wait till I settle down with my person before even buying a home. For rental property, definitely that one I can do as a single person.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, before I move into my own home, I'll probably want to have like a joint pool of funds for that.
Yeah.
So these are things you can think about. Is it a responsibility you want to handle on your own as an individual, or will it make sense to just wait maybe a few years till you have a partner or have someone to support you?
I was going to add that a lot of people are also not ready for what it takes to even have a house and live in it. Because especially if you've been living in the condos, nothing's for you're good. Nothing is, if anything happens, you're going to call somebody. Now, if it's your house, first of all, you'll be showing snow. No. And then if anything, you're the one that become fumbler. Because all of those trade people, they're super expensive, guys. Like per hour is in the hundreds. So if anything is wrong, you first of all try to figure it out first before you be like, okay, I need to call somebody.
Okay, so we're going to, I guess, the Q&A, little Q&A session. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So some people, like we ask people to, send in questions about investments. And so this person says, should I buy Bitcoin now? It's a very good question. As a low risk appetite investor, it all seems very scary.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I say Bitcoin is a very, very dicey topic because it's very volatile. So when it comes to Bitcoin, you have to understand that it is high risk and very volatile. But at the end of the day, if you believe in like Bitcoin, like you've done your research and you're like, okay, Bitcoin is a thing. I think it's, I don't say I think it's a good, but I think you should put some money in there. Also, depending on your age and like the timeline you have. Because with Bitcoin, it's very, very time in the sense that, for instance, like you can put 10,000 and then you're going to earn like God knows like 50K. Like there's no cap to it, basically. So how much you can earn because of how volatile it is. So I'll say definitely put some percentage. I'll say maybe starts like 10%. Start with 10% of your portfolio in Bitcoin. And so I'm not saying this as somebody, if you just heard of Bitcoin, you don't know about how it works. I'm talking about somebody you've not done any research. You have to do research and say, what is Bitcoin? What does it, before you're like, okay, this is a thing, and then put 10% of your portfolio. On the other hand, if you're like, very risky, I think you should put some money. Put some money that you're also willing to lose. That's another thing I'm going to say. And that's like, I'm trying to say 10%. But I don't know how big your money is. Put some money, irrespective of 10% whatnot. Put money that if you lose it, it won't hurt you that much. Do you understand? For my own personal case, I'm not saying you should do this, but like in the new year, I'm trying to put like at least like 10K and just like close my eyes.
Love it.
And like just leave it there and see what happens.
Wow.
It might be wow. But the reason why I'm doing this video is because I've come to the realization that Bitcoin is here to stay. And that's something that I've researched a lot about Bitcoin and like the crypto scene and things like that.
So if you lose the 10K, you will not shake.
I'm not saying I'll not shake, but like I know that it's a consequence of my action. I put the 10K there. Like I'm not saying I'll not shake. It's okay with me. But like I just feel like I have the time. I'm young. I'm in my 20s. I have the time to go through the ups and downs. At some point, it's still going to go up.
And build again.
Even if, because right now it's at, last I checked, it's probably higher now. It was 100K.
Bro.
So I know it may drop, but like I know
it was 80K like when?
I know it's still going to go up. So it's like I have that time frame to be like, whatever happens, and then when I want to take out profits. So that's how I'm just putting it because of my eyes.
But still, Rimi is a big girl.
Please.
And because if you shake me up and down now and I lose 10K, I'll first remove this wig. Then sit down on the floor. But yeah, honestly, I totally agree. I've actually tested the waters with Bitcoin already, and I didn't put so much. I put like very little, and honestly, within like a year, it grew by like, I can't remember, but I think I got at least $1,000. And some money I just looked away from. But then I was actually asking my brother, I was like, okay, this money has grown. Like I just opened it and I'm seeing this money. Should I remove it or should I keep it? He said, do you believe in it? I said, just
I know you kept it till now. God knows how much it would be.
I would probably not
be
I'm actually saying, but honestly, like, and that's one thing that I guess we've also spoke about earlier, like for the episode, about how like don't just like what do you believe in and stick with that. Because even my own brother was like, what do you believe in? Do you believe in Bitcoin? If you do, stay there. If you don't believe in it, take your money out.
Take your money out. Yeah.
So at that point, I was like, okay, I don't think I believe in it. So I took most of it out, and there's basically nothing, not much left there right now. But like Rimi, I'm actually considering, putting some money in there, and yeah, I feel like you guys should too. This year, this 2025.
You should too if you put the amount that you're not scared to lose. Don't say we told you to do. It's not financial advice, guys. Do your research.
There's gonna be a whole disclaimer
Yeah.
there. Okay, so this next person says, how do they know which stock to choose?
Yeah. So I'll say first of all, like if you're a beginner into investing, try and start with ETFs. So ETFs are exchange traded funds, and they are a basket of stocks. Where we say it's a basket of stocks is because like you have like 5 or 10 companies in that one ETF. And the reason why it's good to start with this as a beginner is because you're able to spread your risk across 5, 10 different companies or 50 companies. Versus if you buy like one company, if they go down, you go down. If they go, you go down. But if it's an ETF, like at least one company could do well. If one company goes down, it's like, so it's very nice. So start with ETFs, I would say, and start with ETFs that track like the S&P 500. That's like the biggest market in the world. They have so much data. Like it's been around for more than 100 years.
Yeah.
And year on year average is 10%. I'm not saying that there's some years that, but like year on year average, it does 10%.
If you even just look at the 52-week high,
52-week,
yes, you'll see.
And something I always also check is like the 5-year growth. So 5-year, 10-year growth, and just see like what's happening. If you look at the trend, it's upward direction. So start with S&P 500, and then from there you can now build up to other ETFs. I have a blog post on this that actually is very, very extensive on that. And then after you do ETFs,
I'll link your socials and also your blog.
Yeah.
So you guys can check it out.
Yeah. And so after you do ETFs, then you can now start deciding on like stocks. But with stocks, it's more hands-on. So you also need to ask a question. Ask yourself, do I have the time? 30 minutes in a day, in a week, like 5 hours to actually evaluate companies? Maybe not. If you do, it's very fun. You're going to have to check the financials, check the board of directors. Are they sensible people? Do you believe that they're going to take this company to the next level? Like there's a lot of work that you need to do into picking the right.
Like, do you have interest in the industry?
Yeah, and then also like where do you think the industry is going to based on like news, things like this. It's a very, very intensive thing to evaluate a stock. And so that's why I say start with ETFs. And then if you're not interested, do more research and learn about like picking specific like companies and tickers. Yeah.
Honestly, I agree 100%. That's amazing advice. I'm just remembered. I also think I have a video on YouTube as well where I spoke a bit about ETFs, and I just listed some that you can look at. So I'll try and link that as well. And then Rimi also has a lot of great content on finance. So please check her out. Her link is going to be in the description. Thank you. Okay, guys, so this is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for sticking through to the end. Thank you so much, Rimi, for sharing your finance wisdom. Like, if you're looking for a girl in finance, she's the one. Honestly, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like this video will definitely set a lot of people up for success in 2025 with their finances, with their personal finance, and reevaluate where your finances are, where you want to take them to, and what it would take to get there. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you connect with Rimi. I'm going to put her socials in the description. Also, subscribe before you go, so you get to see more amazing videos. This season is going to be better than the last. The last was already great, but yeah, this one is going to be even more amazing. So give this video a thumbs up as well, so more people get to see it. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, same, you can drop a comment or just show us some love. Basically. Yeah, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.